It's been almost 6 years since Greta Thunberg, the teenage climate activist, often dubbed as the Swedish Doom Goblin, tweeted a now-deleted warning. A top scientist says all of humanity will be wiped out by 2023 if we don't stop using fossil fuels. The scientist she cited, James Anderson, a Harvard professor, who claimed there would be no more floating ice in the Arctic Ocean by 2022 unless we launched a Marshall Plan-level emergency to eliminate fossil fuels globally. Fast forward to today, it's 2025, humanity is still here, fossil fuels are still in use, and yes, there's still plenty of Arctic ice, so what gives? As it turns out, this wasn't the first, or even the worst example of a doomsday climate prediction that simply never came true. For decades, so-called experts, bureaucrats, and activists have made bold and terrifying claims, only for time to prove them spectacularly wrong. Today, we're diving deep into 10 of the most catastrophic climate predictions that failed. Prepare to be amazed, amused, and maybe even a little angry. Let's go! At number 1, we have the Great Extinction Prediction of 1970. In 1970, the Secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, S. Dillon Ripley, warned the world that 75 to 80% of all animal species would be extinct by 1995. That would have meant the end of elephants, lions, whales, tigers, and most of the Earth's biodiversity. But what happened? Modern estimates show extinction rates did increase, but nowhere near the apocalyptic level Ripley predicted. In fact, thanks to conservation efforts, many species rebounded. The 1995 mass extinction simply didn't happen. At number 2, we have the no oil and frozen world prediction of 1970. Meet Kenneth Watt, ecologist and professor at UC Davis, in 1970, Watt predicted the following. There won't be any more crude oil by the year 2000. None of our land will be usable for farming. And get this, the world will be 11 degrees colder by 2000. Oops! In reality, global temperatures rose slightly. Oil didn't run out. In fact, production surged thanks to new technologies like fracking and agricultural land, more productive than ever. At number 3, we have the mass starvation and 42-year lifespans prediction of 1970. Paul Ehrlich, a biologist at Stanford, was one of the most vocal doomsday prophets. In 1970, he made the following predictions. 200 million people will starve each year by the end of the decade. Ocean life will vanish. Life expectancy will drop to 42 years. None of it happened. Global population increased, yes, but so did food supply, thanks to innovations in agriculture. Ocean life, while threatened by pollution, is still thriving in many regions. An average global life expectancy, over 70 years today. Moving on, at number 4 we have the global famine by the year 2000 prediction of 1970. Peter Gunther, professor at North Texas State University, warned in 1970 that the world population will outrun food supply, and except for Western Europe, North America, and Australia, the world will be in famine by the year 2000. Poor Peter forgot to take off his colonial lens before making bizarre predictions. Again, the predictions were several galaxies away from the target. In fact, developing countries like China and India have reduced hunger rates drastically since 1970, while global food production has skyrocketed. At number 5, we have the new Ice Age prediction of 1971. Next up on the list is Dr. S.I. Rasool, a NASA scientist, warned in 1971 that air pollution would trigger a new ice age within 50 years. By now, Earth should have started freezing over. But it didn't. At number 6 is the tropical rainforest apocalypse of 1975. Back again on our list is Paul Ehrlich, who warned in 1975 that 90% of tropical rainforests would disappear within 30 years, that is by 2005. Yes, deforestation has been a major concern, especially in the Amazon. But 90%? Far from it. In fact, as of today, nearly half of tropical rainforests remain intact, with ongoing global efforts to preserve more. At number 7, we have the drowning of the Maldives apocalypse of 1988. In 1988, Hussein Shahab, Director of Environmental Affairs for the Maldives, warned the world that his country would be completely underwater within 30 years. To make matters worse, experts also claimed the Maldives would run out of drinking water by 1992. Yet, in 2025, the Maldives is still hosting, except for Indian and Israeli tourists, luxury resorts, tourist beaches, and international conferences on climate change, ironically, sometimes about rising seas. At number 8, we have the Europe underwater and Britain in deep freeze prediction of 2004. In 2004, a Pentagon-commissioned report predicted global anarchy due to climate change, and warned the following: major European cities would be underwater by 2020, and Britain would have a Siberian climate. But none of that happened. European cities are still dry, well, weather-wise, and Britain's winters? Pretty mild. The report made headlines, but history made it fiction. Coming in at number 9, we have the ABC's 2008 apocalypse. In 2008, ABC News aired a special hosted by Bob Woodruff called Earth 2100. It featured a dramatized timeline of climate collapse and warned that New York City could be underwater by 2015. Today, we are in 2025, and the New Yorkers need to worry more about a certain guy called Zoran Mamdani, rather than the doomsday climate predictions of ABC. By the way, the show also warned of food riots, economic collapse, and uncontrollable natural disasters, all within just 7 years. Well, we can certainly say that at least some of the predictions, that were not related to climate change, did come true for New York. And finally, to close of our list, we have the ice-free Arctic by 2014 prediction at number 10. In 2009, former Vice President Al Gore boldly predicted that the Arctic Ocean would be ice-free by 2014. That's the same prediction Greta Thunberg echoed later, warning that Arctic ice would vanish by 2022. Well, 2014 came, nothing happened, then 2022, again nothing happened. We're now in 2025, and Arctic ice is still there. Seasonal variation, sure. Total disappearance, nope. Well, the fact of the matter is that climate change activists often resort to dramatic doomsday predictions, like the ones we saw on our list, which repeatedly failed to materialize. These exaggerated claims not only undermine real environmental concerns but also fuel a growing industry of profiteering. Figures like Al Gore, whose An Inconvenient Truth forecast disastrous sea level rise by now, have made millions through green tech investments and speaking tours. Corporations such as BlackRock and Tesla have capitalized on climate panic, pushing ESG, environmental, social, governance, investments and electric vehicles, respectively. Organizations like the IPCC and UN climate panels receive billions in funding, despite repeated inaccuracies in their long-term projections. And no, we are not advocating a complete disregard for environmental concerns. All we are saying is that we should approach such warnings with a healthy dose of skepticism, critical thinking, and some common sense. Panic and exaggeration don't help. In fact, they erode public trust and distract from actual solutions. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into history, science, geopolitics, and media narratives. We will see you in the next video.